And the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen, and we didn't act preemptively to prevent more casualties and more loss of life.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Tonight from Washington, D.C.
Good evening from the Library of Congress just across from the Capitol. It was a day short on answers and long on political theater here in Washington, a city consumed by the Iran-Contra scandal.
First, though, joining us this morning, a newsmaker in his own right, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, President Jimmy Carter. Is a military strike an option?
I don't think so, not at this early stage. And I don't think that anybody in the administration has maintained openly that is a present option. Every indication I've heard from Condoleezza Rice or President Bush has been, we want to resort to diplomatic means to as thoroughly as we possibly can before we would consider military strikes.
Iran continues to defy UN Security Council demands to scrap its uranium enrichment program, but CBS News has learned of secret efforts to delay the country's nuclear agenda. Sheila McVicker asked Mark Fitzpatrick of the International Institute for Strategic Studies how that might affect Iran's nuclear ambitions.
The special report that we planned to bring you tonight was about domestic politics, the battle among the Democrats. But we think the crisis in Iran is more urgent right now than the campaign here at home.
The Strait carries about a fifth of the world's oil, and its disruption is already rattling global markets, as you know, with U.S. gas prices up more than $1 in just a month.
Pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain.
I'm very happy to say signed, the deal's all signed. And the strait is already partially opened. As you know, they're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found. But it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely open. But I think a lot of great things are going to happen in the Middle East right now. And very importantly, the oil is plummeting down.
When it comes to politics, I'm well past the tinfoil hat stage. I need a good helmet for the banging my head against the wall stage. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
It just never gets old. Oh boy, but then it does get old. Welcome to the show, Kate Daly Show at your service. We're straight in the middle of June, and the Strait will be controlled by Iran. The headlines, I just had to share this with you because it was like that hysterical that I just had to share with you. And by the way, a big, huge welcome to Mel Mattison today. How are you?
Doing great, Kate.
I'm so glad you're on with me. Listen, the headlines today, sorry, it's just very striking how insane all of this truly is, and you just almost can't believe it. And that's kind of my point is you almost can't believe it. So let me just say Hormuz. Here was the headline in Drudge. Okay, the mullahs are more powerful than ever. Iran declares total victory. Will control Hormuz Strait. The America in retreat. We're so weak. And then inflation forced Trump into deal. And the text allegedly leaks. And then, of course, it was this. Trump told Iranian protesters help is on its way, but the peace deal leaves the mullahs more powerful than ever. And we're letting them control the strait for 60 days. And then we're also giving them $300 billion for a rebuild because of what we did, apparently. And so we're all supposed to believe that hook, line, and sinker. So Okay. What are you, what are your thoughts? I'm sorry. The mullahs are so powerful. After 45 years of this, what's your thoughts, Mel?
Well, it was a disastrous decision, to start with, and that's what we've talked about since it happened.
Uh-huh.
If we can get out of this at this point,
Yeah.
I do think the true long-term damage is probably minimal, but
Mhm.
I still think it's an if we can get out of this. I
Mhm.
still think, Israel is going to do whatever they can to get this kick-started up again. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think it was great that you played those clips of just how long this has been going on. And, you can go back to the 80s when, there was the Beirut bombing and over 200 Marines were killed. And we knew that, proxies and groups connected with Iran were behind it. And still we didn't go into Iran. After
Mhm.
we went into Iraq, there were certain hawks in Israel wanting the U.S. to go into Iran, but we didn't do it because it's pretty much obvious to any military mind or historian who's kind of studied Iran and looked at the country,
Uh-huh.
the people, the culture. It just wasn't anything that was going to work out well for us, and it really, um, I think, has not gotten enough press.
Yeah.
That slip up that Rubio did right after, where he explained
Mhm.
how this happened. That basically last minute news comes into Israel about where the Ayatollah is going to be. Israel calls Trump and says, we're going to start bombing them and kill them. And
Mhm.
Trump's like, well, we've got all our ships there. If you do that, they're going to attack us too. And
Mhm.
Israel's like, probably, I don't care. You don't want to do it, don't do it. And Rubio says, well, we had to do it because if we didn't, we were going to get attacked and
Right.
people. It's this is like the Three Stooges foreign policy,
Well,
and 13 Americans are dead because of it.
Mhm.
Everybody had to suffer through higher gas prices, which are heading down. Oil did not go to the disastrous levels that everybody thought it might.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, our strategic reserve is emptied. We've lost like probably most of our interceptor missiles for defense. We've moved strategic military assets from Asia Pacific to the Middle East for no end result other to hand on a silver platter Iranians, Christmas list a little bit early. They're getting everything they wanted and more.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
mentioned,
Yeah.
they're going to get sanctions
Yeah.
removed. They're
Mhm.
going to get their assets unfrozen, 24 billion. The U.S. and I'm sure BlackRock will be involved facilitating this $300 billion restructuring fund that supposedly the U.S. government itself won't invest in, but likely U.S. companies will, as well as foreign governments, foreign people. And now Iran feels emboldened. We basically allowed them the opportunity to prove that they have this global leverage of that they can shut down the Strait of Hormuz. So on all fronts, it's been nothing but a failure. Of course, Trump will say till the dying day it's a great success, but I think right now the good news is if we can actually wrap this up and get U.S. military assets out of the region, we
Mhm.
can go back to focusing on more important things.
Mhm.
I just hope that we're able to do that, and
Yeah.
I think there's still a chance that this gets sabotaged.
Remember, this was the clip that went around that this was the reason that we went into Iran, that we started bombing them. Just for kicks and giggles, let's look at like what they did. I mean, how they said that they actually kind of saved us. Just here we go. Just this one little portion. Here we go.
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded.
But they haven't ever. But they just knew they were going to attack us instead. Okay. So here we go.
Because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen, and we didn't act preemptively to prevent more casualties and more loss of.
Wow, that is a huge assumption considering the fact that that's never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
they've never attacked anybody, as far as a first strike. They've
Yeah.
only attacked and retaliated. But I mean, the point was, and we could, maybe they wouldn't have attacked U.S. ships and bases. I think maybe they would have, just because only if Israel had gone in and killed the Ayatollah and done those things, but not if they hadn't. Obviously, the only imminent threat that Iraq posed to U.S. bases and troops was one caused by Israel, and we shouldn't have had the buildup of troops there in the first place. And I mean, that's really what got us into the whole trouble to begin with. If we wouldn't have had all of those ships there and all the military presence, and Israel had intelligence about where the Ayatollah was going to be and wanted to take them out, they could have. But Israel would have never done that, because they know that they need the United States military if they want to have any chance of success against Iran. And so, basically Trump got played the fool, and, the U.S. taxpayer and U.S. soldiers and airmen and Marines and sailors, paid the price, some with their lives. Thankfully, not a huge number, but still, if you're one of those people or a family member of those people, I know I'd be pretty upset right now if my brother or son died because of this cockamamie scheme.
Yeah. So we have a comment on YouTube, and I do want to give this comment because there are a lot of people that believe this. So Censored Sergeant, he says Trump is destroying the crooked CIA operations, Venezuela, Iran. Notice a trend, get a clue, commies. This is an ex-sergeant from the USAF. Okay. So I know that there are people that believe that. And for anyone jumping on the channel talking about, like, everything's about Trump, and Trump, you have derangement syndrome for Trump, this isn't the place for you, because I'm actually really conservative. But I am poking a hole in the Iran story for over 45 years, because I wonder, do we have to go 100 years of this before we finally see the repetition at play? Same thing with North Korea, same thing with Russia, same thing with China. I think we own all of them. I think we're heavily embedded CIA in their government. I think that's why SEALs don't go into Iran. I think only certain people are allowed in Iran. But this kind of comment, now a lot of people believe that there is some sort of...
What does that comment even mean? Getting rid of the CIA in Iran? I mean,
well, it means
to send over all these ships and 13 million people, or 13 people needed to die, and billions of dollars needed to be lost, and to get the CIA out of Iran.
What he's trying to say is there's secret military operations going on to help us, to save us. And this is why the Venezuela is being targeted, and Iran and everything else is because of these secret operations. But for common sense sake, I just want to go back for just a second to his first term. The whole QAnon thing was about this. Everything was about this. And we know that that was a kind of a deep state trick, okay? And it was to give you a lot of truth and then twist it and then think that everything was getting taken care of. And I think this comment relates to that. It's very much no, we're doing all these things in secret and we're helping us. Now, go back to his first term and then ask ourselves, what actually happened during the first term while we were being told that we were being saved by all these secret operations? They didn't happen. That's why. So when people are told this in the second term, and I heard this too, and it drives me crazy, because it's like, okay, well, where's the proof of that? Are we always like 5 years out, kind of like climate change is always 10 years to our death? for like 7 decades. I mean, do we fall for the same thing too in Conservativeville? Are we looking at, in a couple of years we'll realize and we'll be saved? We're never getting saved. The only thing we're getting is more deep state, more NSA, more spying, more data centers, more data being collected. We're not getting anywhere from all these secret operations, because by now you would have seen some proof of it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
throwing that out.
I don't know if there's anything like more particular, like what type of. Okay, the CIA has been in Iran, for decades, right? Yeah. Before even the Islamic Republic existed, when the Shah was in power, Mossadegh, the 1950s. Yeah. I understand that, but I don't understand what sending a flotilla and armada there and then bombing Iran. I don't understand what that's getting out. How's that getting the CIA out of Iran? Right. If they're there, they can still be there. I don't know what secret plot that this supposedly stopped.
Yeah. I mean, I know people think there are all kinds of secret white hat military guys running around doing things, but I promise you, this is the second term. By now, you would have seen proof of that. So I know a lot of people fall for it. I remember thinking, the stuff that was coming out of Q, there was a lot of truth. There was a lot of stuff I had studied where I'm like, wow, there's a lot of truth coming out. But I always knew something funky was going on because you would not have a big movement like that unless it was controlled, because the disinformation is so controlled at this point. So, military intelligence. It was military intelligence. They were throwing out some truth and then throwing out some, go over here to nonsense kind of stuff, and just don't do anything because everything's getting taken care of. Nothing is ever getting taken care of. All the big stuff keeps happening. All the big things that actually are hurting us keep going on. I said the other day on the air, and there were people that were sharing the show that were kind of laughing because they said, I was saying 250 years is what we're celebrating, Mel. We're celebrating wussbaggery because we don't have 250 years of people standing up to this crap. We have 250 years of being very docile and compliant and believing and being very, very gullible. So I don't know if that served us well.
I mean, I think there are big risks out there, but they pretty much are all located within the confines of the United States of America.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you want to talk about, safety on our streets, if you want to talk about immigration, if you want to talk about corrupt politicians, if you want to talk about the United States Congress itself, if you want to talk about, gangs and foreign influence in our politics by foreign nations like Israel, like these are the threats that I see out there. These are the threats that I see costing Americans their lives with drugs and fentanyl. And why are they doing that? Because they don't feel connected to any type of a society, because everything has started to go to hell in a handbasket where, the roads don't work, the bridges don't work, the airports suck, the jobs aren't good. People are trying to have a family and they've got 2 kids and both the parents are working and they're still broke and running up credit card bills. Why? Because all the money we take, instead of spending trillions of dollars to basically, if we're going to run up trillions of dollars in debt, we might as well spend it on making our country amazing instead of spending it on a bunch of bombs and foreign aid packages to places like Ukraine. I mean, which Trump said he'd never do. And that's happening. There was a new funding announced, and then the other thing that Trump loves to say is he talks about how Europe pays for everything now. No, they don't. The United States pays for it, because what the way the mechanism works now is it used to be the United States would just give it to Ukraine. There'd be a bill. Now what the United States does is we quote unquote sell it. And Trump always says we sell it to Europe. That's not true. You know who we're selling it to? We're selling it to NATO. You know who mostly funds NATO? The United States. We're selling it to ourselves via NATO. Now, the European partners kick in a little bit, but it's still mostly being paid for by the United States taxpayer. And Trump loves to say we're not paying for it. So maybe instead of funding the war in Ukraine, sending them cash money so they can pay out Ukrainian pensions, which we do, spending money on wars, with these mythical, CIA operations in Iran and Venezuela, give me a break. There's no threat to the United States. The United States
we can squash them like a bug. I mean, in 2 seconds.
No, any country we can blow off the face of the map. We have like 2 billion guns in this country. Nobody can invade us. Nobody can send a navy to our shores. We have nobody can do anything.
Only when it's a controlled project like 9/11. Only then can we get people that actually do what they say that do that. Yeah. When it's a
nation, there's no foreign nation that poses any significant threat to the United States.
My favorite was North Korea, when they used to say for 10 years on the air, North Korea was going to come get us. Flung Hupu or whatever we used to call him. He's a total CIA guy. It just made me laugh because people couldn't see that he was raised in Europe. But same with Khomeini going in, and all of the people that follow him, they're handpicked by our CIA. I mean, we're not taking away our spooks. We're strengthening them. We are deceiving. People are deceiving people, right? And we, the country, is deceiving people. So you know, I celebrate 250 years because I love this Constitution and I love this country. I think it was God given. The founders knew that the banksters and that the people controlling the events were going to get a hold of it. They knew it, right? And they knew what was going to become of it. And then Eisenhower, of course, saying his famous quote about the militarized, what was it? The
Military industrial complex.
Thank you. Military industrial complex. And so we have the global industrial complex going on right now, and it is a global endeavor. And so, no, I don't think there are a bunch of white hats trying to thwart it all. Nothing ever shows that to be true, because all you have to do is look around. Like somebody asked me in Messenger, hey, about the illegal immigration, it hasn't stopped. And so what's your source? I go, the source is, look, that's a source. Look at the border. We're not stopping anything. Both sides argue about it and fight about it and make it a thing, but we're not stopping anything on our right side. Like we can blame the left all we want, but on the right, we don't do anything about it either. We're not doing what people think we are. I think we might curtail it a little. We're not stopping it. And we could, but we don't. So just look. I mean, look at the past. Let's look at what has diminished. Has the CIA diminished in its capability or ability to do what they do without any sort of oversight, with a limitless budget? No, they're doing what they do. So there's a huge $300 billion going to them. Oh, and we made them pinky promise that they wouldn't build a nuke again. So for the next 60 days.
And then look who they put in charge of intelligence. I mean, you have Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, all respect to her as a person. I don't know her as a person, but she was totally unqualified for that role. She would have been steamrolled easily, and obviously she was probably. And now he puts in Bill Pulte. So he has a double role of director of national intelligence as well as the Federal Housing Authority. And so these are people that are just like putty in the hands of these deep state actors. At least when you had somebody like a George Bush running like the CIA, he probably knew where the bodies were buried and what was going on. Now they're putting in babes in the wood. I mean, both Gabbard and Pulte, I mean, these are kids. They're younger than me, and they're supposed to rein in the U.S. National Intelligence Agency. It's ridiculous.
So when they have the left end, they have everybody be trans and look like a Looney Tune and look like somebody that got locked in a 7th grade locker perpetually for the rest of their lives. So that's the left. And then the right goes, oh, who's in? And then when we do the right, what people don't get is that we put in all the pretty people that look competent, but I think they're more actors. I think we have a lot of actors.
Hegseth is like the biggest joke in the world. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah. And I can't stop looking at it that way. So we get sold a box of rocks no matter who's in. And so that's why this show is dedicated to those who just actually want to know what the hell's going on instead of playing party tribe, because I can't play party tribe anymore. I just can't. Like we have a horrid congresswoman that's they're going to put in because of election fraud. They can do it. And she's horrid. She gets a worse score for the Constitution, voting Constitution, than your most leftist liberal. Okay. She's awful. And she's a liar. She even lied on her application to even become a congresswoman, and they swept it under the rug. She wasn't even from my area, and she never lived here. Well, the party is spending tons of money, and Trump endorsed her. And so people go, well, Trump endorsed her. I go, Trump endorses who he's told to by the party. The party wants her because she's a yes person, because she's a ball of mush. She just does whatever she's told, and she's a moron, and she's a leftist. They want her in there. So they're going to,
it's like corporate America. You get promoted when you do what the people at the very top want. They don't want boat rockers. And that's who they put in. They put in people who were just going to be so thankful for their job. People like Pulte, like Hegseth, like Gabbard. And then it costs us, because instead of having competent people that aren't afraid to speak their mind in the situation room, you had a bunch of yes people. And Trump's there like in the middle of the night. Bibi Netanyahu said he's going to strike the Ayatollah. I don't know, what should we do? I don't know. And then they're like, well, I guess we better attack, because if we don't, they're going to attack us, and we'll be out in front of Congress. And that's how U.S. decides to go to war.
And when they feel a little threatened that somebody might not believe that she's going to win, this girl's going to win because she was Stewart's attorney and from Washington D.C. and she's totally in the mechanism of D.C. So when she wins, what they did was they threw a Trump endorsement so that no one would question the findings, no one would question the race. They use election fraud to put her in, and they're going to put her in and go, well, she won because Trump. And all the conservatives in my area will accept that she won, even though no one likes her. Everyone has been saying how awful she is. She'll win and no one will say anything because the elections are stolen. And they do it for a show. They do it so everyone believes it. And that's why they do the Trump endorsement. It has nothing, Trump isn't looking at her career. Trump doesn't even know her. Trump could care less about Celeste Malloy, but they will put her in with election fraud because she is their gal. And they're doing this across the board all over the country. So the endorsements, the presidential endorsements actually had to get stronger, right? Coming from the president because people had to believe the election fraud. So I just,
He's got a lot of money too. He's got
yeah,
a huge amount of money to hand out. And
Yep.
that's the thing. I had a friend, I mean, when he was elected to Congress, and he basically told me like the first time the Speaker of the House, he met the Speaker of the House, it's just
Yes.
like handing out money. And it's like, it's you do what you scratch our back, we scratch your
Mhm.
back. This is the way it all works. It always has. And if you get someone who maybe is independent, who maybe worked their way into a position and isn't beholden to the party and isn't beholden to
Yep.
Trump's endorsement, then
Yep.
they're a loose cannon and you can't
Yes.
be controlled. And so all this is it's lining all the ducks up in a row. And
Yes.
it's just saying, look, we need people that are essentially going to follow the party line,
Yeah.
not ask any questions,
Mhm.
when they and that's essentially why we have this whole structure with 435 people in
Mhm.
Congress, and it seems like there's a lot of checks and balances, but there's really not. I mean, there's really
There's no
nobody.
checks and balances.
No.
They're all gonna do what the parties say to do, and that's why they're in.
Mhm.
And so, we can pretend there's no election fraud, but it is completely rigged all the way down to local. So somebody was asking me, "Do you vote?" And I said, "You can vote because of your conscience, because you can only do what you can do, and they have to have responsibility for what they do in skewing the vote, and fabricating it." But it is a quandary because it's kinda like, look, we have to kinda get to the point Americans do where we realize that that's gone and that we don't have that, and that I know we're celebrating 250 years, but we're not celebrating the same country we had 250 years ago. We're celebrating a very taken country, and, we have to realize that at some point, you know? I don't know how to get people to see it. Repetition isn't working because 45 years of headlines that I showcased in the beginning of the show, with Tom Brokaw and Katie Couric and all these people, that hasn't helped. So I don't know what's gonna help at this point to see it, but, we definitely are lying about Iran. I think we use them as the evil puppet. The evil
Yeah.
puppetry.
They're distractions. They,
Yeah.
they keep the military industrial complex going.
Yeah.
We were able to test out some new AI systems. I mean,
Yeah. You're
there's
right,
all these
you're right,
things. There's a lot of people that are just like, the people think this stuff doesn't happen, but it really does. It's like election fraud. I know election fraud happens.
Yeah.
I lived in Chicago as a kid, and I didn't have to wonder, does it happen or not? I saw
Uh-huh.
it happen.
Right, right.
And it's happened for a long time, especially in places like Chicago. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember my mom telling me, I remember when I was getting my driver's license, and I said, "Mom, when did you get yours?" She goes, "Oh, your grandfather got me my license." And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there was some alderman running for some position came by and said, 'Is there anything I can do for you? Like, I would need you to vote for me.'" And he's like, "Well, my daughters, they want to have their driver's licenses." He's like, "No problem, I'll take care of it."
Mhm.
Comes back with driver's license. This is in the days when driver's license didn't have pictures on them. They were just
Yeah,
pieces of
yeah, yeah.
paper. He's like, "Give
Yeah.
me their birth certificate. I'll have my girl run out." I mean, this is how stuff has been done in this country for so long
Right.
that people think, "Oh, we have this great electoral system that's beyond and then I mean, there is a point to this whole thing about these mail-in ballots. I mean, you want to make it so easy.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it basically allows the entire system to be rigged so
Yeah.
much easier. I mean, it's like now, and the computer tabulators,
Yeah.
the mail-ins. I mean, who
Oh,
can trust?
it's the tabulation. It's the office of the internet covering it that is making it. They can change how they want the race to be, and they make it close because, I don't know, guilt. They make it close because they have to make it look like, oh yeah, it was to the, it was down to the wire, but it wasn't. And so, yeah, I think my hardest thing, the reason I got censored the most, I've been censored multiple times, but the most was because I talked about election fraud, and they don't want people knowing. So what do? You fight it with your county commissioners, and you try to hire men with character, people with character, I guess, that would actually have an interest in fighting it, because you can save your counties. People don't ever say that, but you can. Counties can be autonomous. So it's funny. I look at the picture as a whole, and I said back, I think it was like 2 months ago, I think I had Pesta on, and he said, this will be a quick finish. And I said, no, this will be something that drags on, because they have to have a reason for the economy, the gas prices, the cost of everything. And lo and behold, we just have 60 more days of high prices. And because we just can't get to an agreement, because we have to negotiate. The most powerful country on earth has to negotiate with little tiny size of Alaska, Iran. And those mullahs are so powerful. They're so overpowerful that we can't we just can't get them to agree to anything. And we're giving them lots of cash. So where do you think that cash, what happens with that cash? That 300 billion? What's that used for, Mel?
I'm sure it's going to probably, believe it or not, buy a lot of weapons from the United States military-industrial complex. Let's remember that a lot of that supposed foreign or frozen assets was given to the United States by the Shah to buy weapons. And when the 79 revolution happened, the Shah had already prepaid. Yeah. And the weapons had not been delivered. And the United States said, well, we're not going to deliver the weapons, and we're not going to give you the cash. What's going to happen is these global companies that have operations and subsidiaries and licensing agreements with foreign companies are basically, then Iran's going to get it. They're going to want to do things. And so it's going to help out the military-industrial complex, which is really global. At this point, it's like Palantir.
Yeah.
Like, most of their revenues come from, governments, and it's not just the United States government, right? So these are companies that they support the president or whoever, or they support the Democrats, the Republicans, whoever it is. They give them the money, and then they get to operate with impunity, and they do things behind the scenes. And so a lot of this will get recycled back into the war machine. A lot of it will go for corruption, because Iran, like pretty much every country that I know of, is absolutely corrupt. People in the IRGC, they're not a bunch of religious lunatics, believe me. They like their villas and young women and wine, just like every politician seems to. So, they're going to be out doing that, and they like to act all sophisticated. I'm not like saying, one thing I don't like is a lot of some commentators I listen to who seem to think Iran is this amazing country. Like these are not nice people. These are cold-hearted killers that will soon enough, shoot you in the head as they will shake your hand. They're going to take this money and they're going to spend it on themselves. They're going to spend it on weapons, and probably a little bit might go for like infrastructure to help out the people of Iran. But like every country, most of it's going to go to the rich and powerful, their friends, the corporations. And then there'll be a few schools rebuilt and a bridge here or there. And they'll say that's where the money's going, but it's going to be a small.
It's just so funny. It's like we attacked them because we thought they were going to attack us, even though they never had. And then, and then we give them money to rebuild after we attack them. And you got to know that money's being laundered somewhere, somehow. So if we control their government, which I'm pretty sure we do, we've controlled it since the 50s, then we control the bad guy. And so we put lunatics in there so that they run a tyrannical country, so that we understand it's tyrannical. But I think it's by design. I really do. After all the research I did on Iran and where Khomeini came from, and he came from a villa in France, by the way, that was a CIA hangout.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, not the MI6 hangout, then we know that he was controlled and he was put in by the spooks because they had to have their tyrannical guy in there because they have to look tyrannical, right? And they have to be tyrannical. So they're going to put somebody in like that. But yeah, the headline too, it was like the people were so happy that Trump was going to save the day, and now they're not because they're not getting their help. And I'm like, this is just, it's become like a cartoon for 45 years. The same stuff was going on 25 years ago, and we just keep believing it. So,
And even if you talk about like the CIA or we control them,
yeah.
I think that, and I think you might agree with me, like there is just a global group. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily like an Illuminati, like it's not necessarily like these people have membership cards, but
Mhm.
it's the billionaires. And now we officially have the world's first trillionaire,
Mhm.
Elon Musk, with
Oh, I
SpaceX
think he's the
going
CIA
private.
guy. Yeah. Mhm.
So we have, these are the groups that are global. And I think they control our CIA, they control our government, they control Iran's government, they control Israel's government. And, the last thing they really want is like a peaceful world where,
Yeah, there's no money to be
the
made in peace.
yeah, well, they don't want the resources to be used
Mm.
to make people comfortable, because when people are comfortable, they can't be controlled. When you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're in debt, you can be controlled. When you own your own house,
Mhm.
imagine when you own your own house, when you don't have to pay property taxes.
Mhm.
Think about the way Americans used to live in like the 1790s, right?
Yeah.
You go out, you homestead, you clear the trees, you got to fight off some Indians maybe, but you know what? You've got your land,
Uh-huh.
and you're independent, and that's very, very hard to control. And guess what? There was almost no government, and there was almost no taxation. As taxation grew,
Yeah.
as government grew, guess what's happened? The individual's level of independence has gone down dramatically. And
Yes.
that's essentially the way that you can control and continue to milk people and get them to go to work and pay their taxes and do all the things, consume and do all the things that these people want the human race to do. So
Mhm.
I do think that these things are not coincidental, that,
Right.
as taxation has gone up, freedoms have gone down. And as taxation has gone up, financial independence has gone
Mhm.
up. People might not have been living in the lap of luxury. They might have
Right.
had a wood stove, living like the Beverly Hillbillies, but nobody could come onto their land and tell them what to do, right? And
Right.
and that's what we've lost a lot of in this country.
Amen. Amen. Tell us where the economy's at. You're my economy guy. melmattison.com, and it's the book Quad. Tell me where we're at right now.
Well, the stock markets are at, all-time highs, more or less. Dow just closed at a high today. S&P and NASDAQ have so, the moneyed class is living in the lap of luxury, right?
Mhm.
As I said, we just had minted the world's first trillionaire, Elon Musk, net
Do you
worth.
think they would allow a trillionaire without him being controlled?
No, I mean, I think these people, I think it's very hard not to be controlled if you get into those positions, right?
Mhm.
I do think these people will bring you down with, honeypot scams, with violence, assassinations.
Right.
It's kind of like you play ball, or
Mhm.
you're going to be gone. You're going to
Yeah.
be gone one way or the other.
True. Yeah.
Whether it's you're kicked out because of
Mhm.
a scandal, or you're killed, or
Mhm.
something happens, a plane crash, or whatever it is. It'll happen to you, even if you're the president. I mean, if you're John F. Kennedy, whoever you are, if you start doing things that this group, and I know it's a little nebulous, but who I think is a big part of it. I think a lot of it goes back to banking clans. I think a lot of it can go back to European aristocracy. It
Mhm.
can go back to Jewish banking clans like the Rothschilds.
Mhm.
It can go, and it's not just the Jewish bankers. It's not limited to that. These groups have always been worked hand in glove.
Yeah. They're Satan.
The banking class, the political elites, the aristocracies, the king and his bankers.
Mhm.
That's who this is.
Yeah.
This is the kings of the world and their bankers. And the kings might be literal kings, or they might be, modern day titans of industry.
Mhm.
And they're the ones that are behind the scenes saying, wow, wouldn't it be great if this happened?
Mhm.
And these things just they snowball, and it sounds innocent enough, and it's like, well, we could really do a better job, monitoring for security if we just were able to tap and listen to every single person's phone, and then we do that, and then it's like, wow, we got some really interesting information about this guy. We could use it to blackmail that person and then the next thing this is just the way, this just becomes the modus operandi of how the world works. And it's a lot of blackmailing. It's like
Mhm.
a lot of, it's like,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous.
I don't think Elon's money is his own. I don't think Bezos's money is his own. I think they both work for the powers that be, those that actually are running the country. It's not Trump. Trump's not running the country. It is the people behind him. Always has been this way, for a very, very long time. But that's what I feel. And I think they're all front men, and to make it look like they're private organizations and private people and renegades. Like they always try to make Elon out to be a renegade. But he's not. And so I don't think so anyway. But I know that you always keep your eye on Japan and what they're doing. And it's kind of like our sister country, right? After World War II. I know that's kind of sus. But tell us what you think about what's going on with Japan right now, and like
Well,
what to expect over the summer. What do you think?
Well,
You're
I
always
mean,
so
one
good.
thing I like just to keep an eye on, it
Yeah.
is the Japanese yen, and how it's trading relative to the dollar, and we're around this critical, kind of 160 level, and so these are typical levels. We're also getting to certain levels on bonds. We hit a little over 5% on the 30-year bond last week, and the stock market, was going down. The market went down about 5%,
Mhm.
over like a 10-day period.
Right.
Um, and it's amazing how every time that happens, it just kind of bounces back. And this is why I'm always so bullish on the stock market. Every time I come on, I'm like, there could be short-term pain. There's going to
Mhm.
be volatility. I expected the stock market to drop after the Iran invasion. It did. It went down over 10%. It rebounded a lot quicker than I thought, but it certainly rebounded. But at the end of the day, I still think, the stock market's going higher. Gold is going higher.
Mhm.
And I think we continue to get these central banking, they might be called lending facilities,
Mhm.
whether it's quantitative easing. They do, swaps, different jargon and terminology that is used to try to confuse people. But it's really just about the manipulation of this economy, because everything is just based on these fiat dollars, these fiat yen, these fiat euros. I mean, nothing is based in reality. They can print ad infinitum.
Yeah.
They don't need to go through normal channels. I mean, the Treasury can create bank accounts, put money in it. That nobody. This is outside of like Federal Reserve printing. Like who's going to stop these
Right.
people from doing
Right.
this? Right?
Mhm.
Who's going to stop like
Yeah.
the Treasury through CIA cutouts owning a bank in the Cayman Islands and saying, this bank has all of a sudden, $500 billion in it. And,
Mhm.
we're not doing debt to put that. And now what we're going to do with it, we're going to start selling oil futures. Every time oil starts getting a little too high, we're going to go in and we're going to start selling it and keep a lid on that oil price. And I would not be surprised that we had a lot of government manipulation of the oil price throughout this Iran conflict. And that's why it never spiked to $150 a barrel, and why it's trading now at like $75 a barrel. Gas is going to be under $4 a gallon next week. It's at $4.04. I mean, all these prices are going to come down. Gas is going to go down. It's the stock market's going to go to new highs. All this is all manipulated and done, and at the same time, the real standard of living for like the average American just deteriorates. So, that's it's going to be, the economy is going to be the status quo, which
Mhm.
is, housing will still be unaffordable, food prices will still be going up,
Mhm.
um, and the stock market will too. And I think gold, I said this before, that gold, it was not surprising to me that the sell-off after the massive spike we had in January to $5,500 an ounce, and that a number of these countries, especially countries in the Gulf, needed to raise money because they weren't getting all the oil revenue. And these are large gold holding countries. And so they were going into the market, selling gold to raise cash,
Right.
to fund their regimes. So I think that's starting to end. And just in the last 3 trading days, gold's up over $300. The moment Trump announced, we might have a deal last Thursday,
Yeah.
gold traded all the way down to 4,000, and just
Mhm.
like that, in 3 trading days, it closed today at over 4,300. So it's up almost 10% in 3 trading days, and I think gold probably bottomed, for the year last week, and I think it's going to go up probably 50% in the next 6 months, and I wouldn't be surprised if it hits 6,000 by the end of the year.
I think it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I remember 3 years ago you telling us that it was going to go up to 5. We were going to get it to 3. No, it was like 4. And you were like, "Oh no." And people were like, "Oh, he's crazy." Hello.
Yeah. The first time I came on, it was around like 1,800, 2,000. And I said, I think it'll be 4.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it'll be 5. And it'd be,
Yeah.
and I said 10,000 by the end of Trump's term was what I
Yep.
said and I still think that's going to happen easily. I think 10,000 by January 2029 when his term is over. But I think what's going to happen is the Federal Reserve is going to feel comfortable if this deal holds, that inflation is going to be subdued. It's going to allow them to cut interest rates. Kevin Warsh will cut interest rates this year. The market still doesn't think he's going to. I think he will. And I think that this is going to weaken the dollar against countries like Europe or banking systems like Europe, the ECB, the euro, even against the Japanese yen. So Japan, in its last central bank meeting, which was last week, increased interest rates, as did the European Central Bank. So what you have now is you have the other 2 largest currencies in the world, the yen and the euro. Their central banks are increasing rates. Warsh is going to come out tomorrow. He's not going to raise interest rates. And he's probably going to talk about how if the deal holds, this spike in inflation is temporary. It's going to pass through. And we're going to, we might be able to cut interest rates, this year. And when these things happen, this is what weakens the dollar. This is what drives up precious metals. And so this is why I think it was a double whammy on gold with, people taking profits because it had gone up so much, and the central bank selling to raise cash. And then you had, these inflation concerns. And if those are all gone now, then it's time to start the upward trend again. And I think we did last week with almost 10% gain in the last 3 trading sessions.
What happens with Bitcoin, do you think?
Bitcoin is trickier because I think that the truth is a lot of people were buying Bitcoin because they wanted to make fast money. And a lot of these AI stocks and a lot of these, you look at how much SpaceX has moved. The IPO price was $135. It got up to $230 a share in overnight trading. When you're able to buy stocks and they're moving 20, 30% in a day, which a lot of stocks have been doing recently, then the volatility crowd that craves, huge price swings to really gamble doesn't need Bitcoin anymore. And so Bitcoin has kind of found itself in this weird situation where it's just hanging out. And I don't know if it's going to crash. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be around. I think it's going to go up in value. I just think it's not going to it's never going to materialize into like this, what you might have heard people talking about last year, like, oh, Bitcoin's going to 1 million, in a year, or a lot of these people. And I know you have your suspicions about who created it, who's behind it, and what they're doing with it. I frankly think it doesn't even matter. I don't think anybody uses Bitcoin except for criminals, to be honest with you. I mean, nobody uses it for anything. If you own it,
It's an investment. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really do anything. It's basically been another rug pull scam, just a way to, it draws people in, at the points when it's going up, and then the people that bought it when it's down. So I wouldn't be doubt that there are probably powerful people buying Bitcoin right now, and they'll pump up the market in the next year or two. It'll get up to 150, 200,000,
Right.
and then they'll pull it out again.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it'll get sold down again. So it can be used as a trading vehicle in my mind. I don't think of it as a replacement for gold or any of the things that some people talk about it as. And I actually don't think a lot of people use it. So I don't think it has any, real sinister effect, to be honest with you. I think it's just a way for people to scam people out of their money, really.
And the only people that really made good were the ones that got in, because I remember I should have gotten in back in 2013. People that did that are, running off with their cash. But
yeah, it's good to trade it. It's good to trade.
Yeah,
it's at an interesting point here. It's at the 200-week moving average, which is roughly a 4-year. So it's trading right around where it has on average for the last 4 years. Bitcoin's known to have these 4-year cycles, and the last one bottomed in October of 2022. So we're coming up to a 4-year anniversary. That was when it hit 16,000 and the Sam Bankman-Fried FTX scandal. And so if the cycle continues, this summer, this fall, this could be a bottom, and we could ramp up. And every cycle it tends to go to a new high. So last time we hit 120. So this one could take it to 250. I mean, we could be sitting here a year or two from now, and Bitcoin's at 250. And so I do own some. I trade it, and it's something that I think can offer returns. And sometimes it trades in a diversified way. You know, sometimes it's going up when other things aren't, and sometimes it's going down when everything else is going up. And so it can add some diversification. So I'm not somebody who hates it and thinks it's not a good thing. I've advocated for it. At certain points, I've owned a decent amount of it. Right now, my holdings are not anywhere near what they used to be. Yeah.
If here's a question for you: if they make us all go digital, where would we be able to use our gold?
Well, I mean, there's digital backed. There's digital coins, tokens. Kinesis has some of these tokens. Other people do. That are supposedly backed by gold. But I think at the end of the day, the way I look at it is I look at precious metals as a store of value that you can actually own.
Okay.
And so you keep your savings in gold, right? In the metal, right? It might be a silver coin like I have here. It might be, I'm a big precious metal guy, like actually owning is 100-ounce bar of silver. I have in, safety deposit boxes and other places, gold and different, like you own it. And then what you do is whatever amount of wealth you need to transact, you keep that in the dollars, the digital dollars, whatever. And that's just, that's the way you transact. So it's not like a very small amount of, my net worth is sitting in dollars in a bank somewhere. Like most of it's in real estate and land and stocks and, precious metals. And you just can't hold dollars. You can't hold, it just loses value. It's designed to lose value. It's designed to lose 2% a year by the Fed, and it winds up losing a lot more than 2% a year. So you just have to really minimize your cash. You don't want to own cash. And I think that's what people have learned. If you have to have something that you're not worried about, maybe you're getting ready to buy a house and you have savings, don't put it in the stock market. Stock market can go down 20% anytime. Don't put it in precious metals. Precious metals can go down. If you're getting ready to buy a house next year and you have $50,000 or $30,000 saved up, you do put that into cash in the bank, or you put it into a money market account or a treasury bill that pays, 3.5%. Because you need to have that money. I mean, one thing last year when Trump did his tariff thing, I would see sometimes on X, on Twitter, people complaining like,
Mhm.
Oh, my wife and I, we'd saved up for years and we had 50,000 and we were getting ready to buy a home this summer.
Right.
And then Trump did tariffs and we lost 20% of it. It's like, if you know you're going to need $50,000 in a few months, don't have it in the
Think
stock market.
accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't have it in gold. Don't
Mhm.
have it in the stock market. Don't have it in Bitcoin, you know? But if you have longer term investment money, then don't have it in dollars. You have it all in these investments. And so if you do that, the main problem really with the digital thing is just they can track the transactions, right? And
Mhm.
they already can, everything is already tracked. They have all our transactions already.
Right.
So the additional aspect to it is this programmable money aspect, and
Mhm.
and I really think like there's more than one way to skin a cat, and they're doing all these things already, right? I mean, it's like if you don't follow the rules, you get out of the banking system, or you get blacklisted, or so on. So I mean, I'm not as scared as I once was of central bank digital
Mhm.
currencies, because I think there's just a big apparatus already set up to kind of do this. And so if you really want to kind of get off of all this stuff, I think you just have to focus on, like, working towards financial independence,
Yeah.
where, one day, you own your house outright. You have a lot of your longer term savings and physical precious
Mhm.
metals. And, you go out in the world to transact, fine. If you ever want to do something that you don't want people to know about, it's probably a larger transaction, and you try to find someone who will accept physical gold or silver and say, yeah, I'll sell you my car for in silver if that's how you want to pay for it, if you want to do that. But so I don't really worry too much about it. I think that this is just the world we live in, and if I could change it, I would. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting to a
Weird.
point in life
Weird,
where
right?
I'm
I
just,
know. I know. It's so naive.
am I really going to fix the world's problems? Are we really going to get rid of these corrupt politicians? Are we really? I mean, I'm more about like trying to leave the world at this point
Yeah.
than trying to fix the world. Like I'm working to getting to the point where I have my compound. Maybe I do have my Elon Musk provided Starlink internet, as much as we can say the CIA controls them. But I'll have a kill
Yeah.
switch on it,
Yeah,
right? I'll be like, oh no,
yeah.
if I really want to get rid of you guys, I smash it. Like, I mean,
Right.
at some point I'll probably turn into a prepper, and I'll be in the woods somewhere and hunting and
I love prepper and stuff. I do. I have talked
for
about
my
it
own
so much
food.
on my show.
Yeah.
I love prepping. I love people that actually think about getting ready for whatever may come, because it could just be job loss.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be the end of the world. Maybe it's severe job loss, and I know in my own family it's helped us so many times, And then of course we're painted crazy for prepping. But little Mark Z. Zuckerberg can do a whole compound, and he's talked about as being some kind of a genius for
Oh,
doing it. But
all the billionaires have their compounds.
I
Believe
mean,
me,
come
they
on,
have them all. Yeah.
my
Yeah,
gosh! I mean, look at
that's
all
what
the
I'm working on it. I'm gonna have it. I've been busy with other stuff, but I mean, I think I'm gonna buy some acreage in the mountains of Western North Carolina. I'm based
well,
in Durham, and
I
build
would say
something.
grow your own food. I mean, I
Yeah.
grow your own food. I had that MMA fighter on, and he was doing a soil, and he keeps getting like calls and visits from, the powers that be, that he created this soil that makes food grow, because like areas like mine in St. George, they don't have selenium in the soil. We're missing a lot of stuff in the soil. And this goes all over the country. You're missing certain elements, certain minerals and stuff. So it is tough to grow your own and have it be really, really healthy, going back years of health. But I think grow your own food, because I can see that happening. I can see food shortages coming at some point, and I think we should probably be ready for that. We should be growing our own food. We're far too dependent.
This stuff can easily happen. I
Mhm.
mean, can
Yeah.
happen because of natural causes just
Yeah.
as easily as man-made.
Yep.
A solar flare, a big EMP, the
Yeah.
Carrington event that
Exactly.
everybody knows of.
I
The
know.
more we become dependent on AI, and you know,
Mhm.
what's Elon going to do when a Carrington event comes and
Yep.
all those rays hit his
Yep.
solar panels orbiting the Earth?
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, like,
Yeah.
this stuff happens. I mean, that's going to probably would create some sort of an overload on
Yeah.
those photovoltaic solar cells, do
Mhm.
something. EMP pulses, and the world, we're at like 8 billion people now, And, you know,
they say.
it requires a lot of food, a
Mhm.
lot of fertilizer. People have talked about the fertilizer and how there could be food shortages coming because, you know, not enough crops are getting put in, and because,
Mhm.
you know, it's changing a lot of the mixes. It's a lot more growing of foods that don't require as much fertilizer. So I think there might be food shortages for certain types of food. At least in the developed world, I don't think we're going to have any type of mass starvation. But if it gets bad in some of the poorer countries in Africa or Central America, you know, we could have famines,
Mhm.
small scale famines.
Yeah.
Typically, though, the Earth produces much more food than necessary. I think they say we waste or throw away on a global basis enough food every year to feed the world 2 times over.
Mhm.
There is a lot of food around. The reason why most people that die of starvation is because they're in some country run by a warlord who is withholding the bags of rice that UNICEF is sending because, you know, they want to starve out their political enemies.
Right.
There's not much starvation going on because there's not enough food on the planet. It's about getting the food to the
Mhm.
people that
They
need
made
it.
us very dependent because they took control over the farms, and then used to be 95% farmers. Now it's under 5%. It's like 2% farmers or something like that. So
Yeah, exactly.
independent ones. Yeah. So we have a problem. But I do think that I think it'd be really smart if you're going to look at prepping just to have some food in case of a job loss to carry you over, and to also so that you're not doing a GoFundMe. That seems to be very popular. You know, you do a GoFundMe when you can't save or have any food, and
Yeah.
then yeah, grow our
Ridiculous.
own. So, and then anything you're investing in that is kind of interesting.
Mm,
Mattison.
well, I mean, within the markets right now, I mean, I do like there's some more esoteric, you know, areas. Like
Mhm.
I'm not chasing after the AI names. I
Mhm.
like, you know, there's a sector. It's called the materials sector,
Yeah.
basic materials,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of some of these older, you know, less exciting areas, they're
Mhm.
getting more exciting because, you know, we are using a lot of resources and materials to build out this AI trade. We are using a lot of chemicals in, you know, everything from space flights
Yes.
to, you know, creating new data centers. So the materials sector is composed mostly of like chemical companies and as well as mining companies,
Right.
copper miners, silver miners, gold miners,
Mhm.
and they, you know, that they've been trading pretty well
Yeah.
this year, hanging in there. But I think they're going to probably be outperforming. So I've been adding a little bit to that area as well as gold. Last week, when it got down to around 4,000, I was
Mhm.
buying more gold.
Yep.
I still think it's got a lot. I still think at 4,300, it's gone up a lot in the last 3 days. But I think this is a multi-month bottoming process that I think is happening. So I think gold is good, basic materials. I think a lot of these AI names have, if you're trying to buy them now, you're a little late to the party. I
Yeah.
own a lot of them, but I bought them, you know,
Mhm.
long time ago.
Mhm.
And so there's not much, you know, else to say on that. I would say some of the the emerging markets that are not tied to the AI trade. So South Korea, Taiwan are very tied to the AI trade, but a number of emerging markets really got killed with this Iran war because
Mhm.
of the concern that they were going to have famines, and these are not oil producing countries. These are, you know, places in Southeast Asia, like in Indonesia.
Mhm.
And then even a number of the oil producing countries in Latin America got hurt because we had a stronger dollar during this war period.
Right.
Um, and like I said, I think the Fed's going to cut interest rates. The dollar is going to get weaker, and so you know, countries like Mexico, Brazil, you can buy ETFs on these things: EWW, EWZ for Brazil.
Mhm.
You know, Indonesia. So kind of emerging markets. Um, these are not countries saddled with the trillions of dollars in debt like the United States and Europe and Japan. Um, and they have a lot of basic materials. A lot of these countries are, especially in South America, are very resource rich.
Mhm.
Chile, Argentina, Brazil. And these are countries, they have oil, they have gems, they have, precious metals. They have rare earths. They have all kinds of things that the world is going to need in a world where, software is getting less important, and the atoms and, physical things are going up in value. And so I think that's really a big part of what's going to start happening if this war truly is behind us, is we're going to start seeing a shift from this massive outperformance of like AI names, and start seeing some of the old school basic materials, things like that start to do well.
All righty then. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you coming on today. I really do. I wanted to talk to you about the economy in Iran, and then of course the details of the deal came out. I was just laughing because I said 2 months ago it would linger and linger and linger because they had to have a reason for all the high prices, and they weren't going to go anywhere. And so when Trump got in, everybody thought, oh, well, our economy will go back to where it was in 2018. And that's not the case. So, of course, there's always a reason and a scapegoat as to why these prices are so high still. So I don't know.
Yeah, the war doesn't have to do with it. I mean, this is devaluing the currency because they need to devalue the debt. We can't service $40 trillion of debt, and we can't pay it off, so we have to inflate it away. I mean, this is all being done on purpose. We're going to continually have these inflation spikes, right? We had one in 2022, and we had one this year, and we're going to keep having them. The days of 2% inflation are long gone. They're long gone.
I agree. Thank you.
Not that we ever had them. That was just the government number. The days of the government reporting 2% inflation are done. So even the government can't lie. It's like they're reporting 4%. We're really having 8%, right? That's what's going on. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Get the book Quaz and melmattison.com and follow him on X. Really appreciate Mel. He's fantastic, and he comes on and I love it. Absolutely love it. So good for him. And get over there and follow him. But I did want to mention I'm drinking my emotional support drink. I always hate it when people have support animals. I think it's so dumb, unless you're blind. But anyway, if you're blind, I get it. But other than that, I'm like, really? But I'm calling this my emotional support water, Cardio Miracle. I do drink this all the time, if you're wondering. I really do. And I actually really, really love it because it tastes good. Tastes like fruit punch, but it actually has a lot of the vitamins and minerals you're missing, like gallium, like all those different like little things that we don't get anymore. And I was serious about our soil. We don't have, go look at the soil reports. They'll tell you like what you have in your soil where you're growing your food. Oh man, so much stuff is missing. So Cardio Miracle, this is what lowered my husband's numbers, and without pharma. And so I tell people that all the time because he won't go without it. Neither will I. I take it twice a day and love it. And it is awesome. You'll love it. Just try it out. It's got a money back guarantee. Go to cardiomiracle.com/Kate and give it a try. You're going to be so much healthier in like 2 months. Just give it like 2 months. You'll be so much healthier. I promise you. And also, I just wanted to mention the ebooks too. I am kicking some out. I'm doing some more ebooks and putting them on. And the AI ebook and the cancer ebook, please go get them because I am telling you, you need to know what's coming as far as UBI, the universal basic income, and it's gonna come with a carrot, a big carrot, and they're going to say AI removed the jobs and AI is making us so much wealth that they have enough wealth to spin back at you. And don't you want to be lazier? Don't you want to be even lazier? So they're going to spin this to us, and people are going to jump on to UBI, and UBI is going to become a very big topic. People aren't talking about it right now on our right, and I don't know why. But no, I do know why. I take that back. And there's a lot of disinformation on our right. So make sure that you get the ebook because it kind of spells out why and how they're doing it and how they've done it in the past in a different way. And that's at katetalks.myshopify.com. I was looking at the headlines and I wanted to play this for you. Instead of going out right now, I just wanted to play this reel for you because I think this is important. This was the intro reel and there was only a few people on. So I wanted to make sure that you heard these headlines about Iran one more time, because I think this is really important to understand how they frame the enemy in the narrative. And believe me, this is all theater. Okay, so here is the roll.
There absolutely was an
This
imminent
is why.
threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us. And we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded, because the Department of War assessed that if we did that, if we waited for them to hit us first after they were attacked, and by someone else, Israel attacked them, they hit us first, and we waited for them to hit us, we would suffer more casualties and more deaths. We went proactively in a defensive way to prevent them from inflicting higher damage. Had we not done so, there would have been hearings on Capitol Hill about how we knew that this was going to happen.
Oh,
and we did that
hearings.
preemptively to prevent more casualties and more
Wow.
loss of life.
So we had to hit him. Had to hit Iran.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Tonight from Washington, D.C.
1980s. 1980s.
Good evening from the Library of Congress, just across from the Capitol. It was a day short on answers and long on political theater here in Washington, the city consumed by the Iran-Contra scandal.
Yeah.
First, though, joining us this morning, a newsmaker in his own right, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, President Jimmy Carter. Is a military strike an option?
I don't think so, not at this early stage. And I don't think that anybody in the administration has maintained openly that that is a present option. Every indication I've heard from Condoleezza Rice or President Bush has been, we want to resort to diplomatic means to as thoroughly as we possibly can before we would consider military strike. So
Iran continues to defy
Katie
UN
Couric.
Security Council demands to scrap its uranium enrichment program. But CBS News has learned of secret efforts to delay the country's nuclear agenda. Sheila McVicker asked Mark Fitzpatrick of the International Institute for Strategic Studies how that might affect Iran's nuclear ambitions.
The special report that we planned to bring you tonight was about domestic politics, the battle among the Democrats. But we think the crisis in Iran is more urgent right now than the campaign here at home.
Whoa.
The strait carries about a fifth of the world's oil, and its disruption is already rattling global markets, as you know, with U.S. gas prices up more than $1 in just a month.
Pain for the long-term gain.
Remember
Short-term
this when it first
sacrifice
started?
for a long-term gain.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain.
I'm very happy to
Here's Trump.
say very signed, the deal's all signed. And the strait is already partially opened. As you know, they're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found. But it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely open.
You know, listening to that roll, and I have another one too that is like, we're this close. We're this close to a bomb. They're this close to a bomb for 30 years. And Netanyahu saying that for a very long time, years and years, decades. And it used as the constant perpetual bad guy. I think sometimes, you know, common sense would dictate that we ask ourselves, what is actually the threat? What is actually going on? When you hear the threat so many times, then do we still believe it? I mean, I'm sorry. I think it's all very controlled. I think it's a big theater. I really do. When they say political theater, boy, do they mean it. In every single way. But I was laughing because the headlines themselves, I just want to give you the headlines really fast because it literally was so funny to read these this morning. But it was Drudge was mullahs more powerful than ever. Iran declares total victory. Will control the strait, right? And America in retreat. So I got to make us look super weak. And then inflation forced Trump into deal. And then, of course, it talked about Trump told Iranian protesters help is on its way. Because remember, in all the theater and the narratives, we always have to make it about the people and not saving the people. Okay, we only save the people we want to. But so we decide who is in peril, and then we make it all about the people. That way, Americans get on board. Because if you knew that this was all just political theater, you wouldn't be on board. But they do that on purpose, and that's why it's included in that Drudge headline display, is because it has to be about the people not getting their help. So Trump told Iranian protesters help is on the way, but the peace deal leaves mullahs more powerful than ever. So our deal just leaves them more power. And I'm sorry, they didn't have any power to begin with. We install them, we take them out. We could squash them like a bug when we want to. There is no threat coming from a rogue country. We are definitely in control. I 100% think that. So, especially after all the research I've done, I love research, and I am telling you, if we don't start seeing it, especially after 45 years, if we can't see it, we're the problem. We have the problem. I don't know what else to say about that, but that's the headlines today, and all about the deal where they pinky promise not to do a nuke, and of course we give them $300 billion, and then they control the strait. So. Yeah, okay. Anyway, just had to be said. And man, we'll have some fun on Thursday. There's so much I want to say, but I thank you for tuning in, and please go get the ebooks and please spread the word. Would you do that for me? Would you put it on social media for me? So go to katetalks.myshopify.com and send the link out, because that would really help this show. And the summer is the hardest time for the show, right after Christmas and the summer, and everyone goes and plays, and this show doesn't get the donations. We can't, it's very, very difficult to do this without it. And so I appreciate you sharing the ebooks, and I appreciate anyone that wants to donate to the show. I really do appreciate you, because free speech, it's hanging by a thread, and I really mean that. There's only probably, I would say, 3 or 4 people that are actually honest in media, that actually want to get down to the truth of anything and not play the party thing. Yeah, it's that sad. There's a lot of disingenuous people out there that are going to redirect people to things that don't matter, while the things that matter are left unsaid. Please help this show survive. I feel like if this show was not able to survive past the summer, that we would be saying goodbye to free speech completely. And that makes me sick. It makes me literally sick to my stomach, because of the fact that no one will question stuff like this. No one will question the Iran lie. No one will question anything anymore. And we don't have anybody telling the truth. I had to give up a career, right? I had to give up a career because being in the media, telling the truth, you are aced. If you start telling the truth and don't stop, you're aced. That's how it works. So I believe in free speech. I feel like as long as I'm still out there talking, there's free speech in America. The minute that goes down, we're really sunk. We're really sunk. Because I have a desire to search out the truth, a desire. And I don't know a lot of people that really have that. So help if you can. And of course, I really do appreciate you guys and all your questions and comments into the show. And thank you. So be faithful, be fearless. But I'll be back tomorrow with Melissa tomorrow. And I will do a Thursday show as well. So appreciate you. Thank you. And I will sign off for tomorrow anyway. But share the ebooks, please. Go to katetalks.myshopify.com and share the ebooks. Go get Cardio Miracle, because I want you to be healthy. I love that stuff. I really do. Been taking it since September. I really love it that much. And I appreciate you. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Sound good? Same bat station, same time. Thanks, you guys.